Hello and welcome to Raining Reviews channel. We hope our videos will educate and entertain you. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy the content. I'm Rainman. And let's get started with today's video. The movie opens with Paul Edgecombe, an elderly man living in a retirement home, waking up after a bad dream. An orderly who was serving him 2 pieces of dry toast mentioned Paul's tendency for taking lengthy strolls outside the building. Though concerned for Paul, the orderly lets him go about his usual business. Paul and a few other individuals are gathered around the television, engrossed in an old film featuring Fred Astaire gracefully dancing to the tune of Heaven. As Paul catches a glimpse of the movie, an overwhelming surge of emotions washes over him, prompting him to step away. Elaine, a close friend of Paul's, follows him, recognizing that the film has stirred deep-seated memories within him. Curious, Elaine questions about the source of Paul's reaction, leading him to relate his story. He reveals that he once served as a prison guard during the Great Depression, overseeing death row, colloquially known as the Green Mile due to its distinctive green tiled floor. The narrative then transports us back to the 1930s in Louisiana State Prison. A young Paul Edgecombe, played by Tom Hanks, grapples with a urinary infection. Several other guards, including Brutus, Brutal, Howell, Dean Stanton, Harry Terwilliger, and Percy Wetmore, introduce a new inmate. Percy, eager for attention, makes a spectacle of the arrival, repeatedly shouting, "Dead man walking," as they make their way through the facility, causing annoyance among the rest of the guards. The convict, John Coffey, possesses an immense, muscular physique, but when Paul engages in conversation with him, they discover that John possesses the mind of a vulnerable child, meek and seemingly afraid of the darkness. Later Paul confronts Percy regarding his disruptive behavior, but Percy consistently displays disrespect towards authority. Faced with this defiance, Paul decides to transfer Percy away from the mile, assigning him to work in another area. Percy, dissatisfied with this outcome, becomes frustrated and vents his anger on another inmate named Edouard Delacroix, causing Del's fingers to break. In the meantime, Paul receives a copy of John Coffey's records and discovers that John ended up on death row due to his conviction for the murder of 2 young girls. When the girls went missing, a search party was organized, and they found John in an open field, sobbing uncontrollably while cradling the lifeless bodies of the girls. Upon his arrest, John uttered the words, "I tried to take it back, but it was too late." At a later time, Paul finds himself outside when he encounters Warden Hal Morse. Hal hands Paul the execution documents for an inmate named Arlen Bitterbuck and engages in a conversation about Percy. The revelation comes to light that Percy, despite being considered dim-witted, holds his job and remains protected in his position due to his status as the governor's wife's nephew and his influential political connections. Paul learns that a complaint has already been filed regarding Percy's removal from the Green Mile, despite his act of breaking an inmate's fingers. However, Hal has received news that Percy has applied for an administrative role at a mental hospital, which would offer better pay, improved working hours, and, with any luck, would remove Percy from the mile. Paul speculates that Percy desires to witness an execution up close before transitioning to his new job. The warden, Morse, discloses that his wife, Melinda, is currently grappling with health problems, including intense headaches, and has a scheduled X-ray to identify the underlying cause. That evening, Paul discusses his concerns about John Coffey and Melinda's condition with his wife January. He also expresses regret that they cannot engage in intimacy due to his infection, dismissing her suggestion to seek medical attention for it. The following day, Brutus notices a mouse in the cell block. All guards observe as it hurries into a small room located in the corner, which is typically used as a padded cell for dangerous inmates but currently serves as a storage space. The guards thoroughly search the room but are unable to find the mouse. Some hours later, Percy arrives and catches sight of the mouse, entering a furious state as he attempts to kill it. The mouse retreats back into the padded room, and Percy resolves to go inside. Deliberately withholding the fact that they have already tried that approach, the other guards watch with amusement as Percy thoroughly unpacks the entire room once again, to no avail. Subsequently, Paul reproaches Percy for frightening the inmates in his obsessive pursuit of the mouse. Unconcerned, Percy holds a contemptuous view of the inmates. Paul, on the other hand, holds a contrasting perspective, believing that the inmates already endure significant stress as they await their impending executions. He warns that subjecting them to additional strain could cause them to snap and lead to serious repercussions. In response to Percy's insolence, Brutus seizes him, but Percy threatens to exploit his connections as the governor's wife's nephew to have the other guards fired if they harm him. Paul counters that if Percy ever makes such a threat again, they will not hesitate to confront him, even if it means risking their own employment.